is Justyn Settles. I am the project specialist for the Identification and Recruitment Consortium. We're so happy for everybody to be participating with us today and throughout this week. Today's presentation is entitled The Art of Getting a Referral Wherever You Go. For recruiters to be most effective, they have to convince those they meet to share with them information that can lead to potential new students. So today we are going to review some important strategies and techniques that recruiters can use to gain trust during conversations. And we will look at ways recruiters can use the electronic survey tool IDRC has created to make receiving referrals easier. So why are referrals so important? A 2014 study conducted by the company Verizon and the Small Business Trends website found that 85% of all clients from successful businesses came from word of mouth and referrals. Success in any industry can be attributed to who you know and who knows you. And so while the migrant education program is not a business, in many ways, recruiting is just like marketing and it's just like selling. When we get out there to try to identify new potentially eligible students, we are selling people on the idea of the migrant education program, selling people on the benefits of the services that we provide. And so there are many similarities between the business world and identification and recruitment. And so today we are going to look and see how in the business world people get referrals and how we can take that and adapt that to the identification and recruitment world so that hopefully we can start getting people giving us information, providing us with referrals so we can cast a wider net in our communities and find more eligible students. In an ideal world, referrals would drive our identification and recruitment efforts. Members of the community that know the program and currently enrolled families should be our greatest advocates out there. If everything was perfect as we'd like, recruiters would just be able to walk out their front doors and they would have people lining up to tell them about the new families that are arriving to town that can benefit from the terrific services that your states are providing out there. We want families, to be out there in the communities, letting others know all about the migrant education program and the great work that you're doing. Those members of the community that know you, those families already involved in the program, already enrolled, getting services, we want them to be our biggest voices out there, letting people know, hey, you need to be a part of this program too. In 2019, Forbes magazine called referrals the most valuable form of marketing because when you have referrals, you have a much higher rate of success coming in from referrals than from cold calling or just getting cold information. You have a minimal investment cost. It doesn't cost you money to be getting and receiving information. Referrals help to build up trust and equity within a community and within those that you are trying to reach. And oftentimes referrals can snowball, leading to more referrals, meaning that when somebody gives you a referral, the person coming in, you can always ask them to provide you with more referrals, more people that they may know. Forbes cited a study of professional marketers that found that 78% of marketers say that having a formal system to receive referrals generates good or excellent leads. So having a defined way of being able to get those referrals, get that information, helps to make referrals better. You're much more likely to get good, valuable information if you have a set system for receiving that information that people know about and can follow and find easily. 60% of those marketers studied said that referral programs generate a high volume of leads. And so 60% of all people, of all marketers, were saying that when they do create this formal referral system, they're likely to start getting lots of referrals in, getting that information. 54% of marketers studied found that referral programs have a lower cost per lead than other marketing methods. And so you're seeing that referrals are often better information, easier to get a hold of, and cost less than other ways of doing marketing and advertising. And marketers rate referrals as the second highest source of quality leads behind conducting sweeps or mass marketing events. Again, similar to the migrant education program, where we also conduct, big recruitment sweeps and events. And so referrals are a great source of being able to get information. And so we should be looking to see, how can we get referrals from our community? How can we be improving our relationships so that we can be getting more and more referrals and information in? Right now, when we're talking about referrals, it's important to keep in mind that there are 3 different types of referrals that we as recruiters can be getting. And all 3 different types of referrals offer significant advantages. People can refer to recruiters' coworkers. And so, coworkers are great referrals. They have a higher likelihood of qualifying because they work in the same industry. And so if you have a family that's already enrolled in the program, say you have a family that's out there picking cabbages, picking produce out in the fields, if they are referring to a coworker, somebody else that works with them in the fields, there's a much higher likelihood of them qualifying because they are already involved in that qualifying activity. People are also likely to provide referrals to friends or relatives. And so getting referrals from friends or relatives of already enrolled families or people that you know are real great because there's already trust built into that referral. When people are telling you, hey, I know somebody else that might be able to benefit from what you're offering, that means that they trust you, and that trust is passed on to the person that they are referring. And so you can go to that referral and say, hey, I know so-and-so. We know them, we help them. We would love to be able to help you too. And so it helps that conversation, helps the eligibility interview be a little bit easier because there's that trust that's already built in. Then you also can possibly get referrals that are from known students or clients. And so these are people that, that are already likely to refer the services that you offer to their students or clients that they feel might also qualify for MEP. And so while not directly related, there's again trust built up into the system because it's a person that's saying, hey, I am already helping this person with this, but I think they might also qualify for you. And so, if it's, for example, when you go to a community organization that might be already helping somebody out in the community, but they think they might also qualify for the migrant education program. And so there's, again, that trust that's already built up into the referral process that can make the introductions, make it easier to be able to connect with people to hopefully determine eligibility faster. Now let's talk a little bit about why we send out referrals. Sending referrals is actually built into the human DNA. It is hardwired into our brains, into our minds, into our psyche to share with others the books, music, movies, and television shows that we like. Because when we find joy in something, we want others to get the same enjoyment out of it. We want to share with others the things that are impacting our lives so that they can have a positive effect on others. Likewise, we want to refer others to products and services that we believe in because we want for them to have the same helpful benefits in their lives that we have received. How many of us, for example, have tried a new shampoo that really worked great and made our hair look awesome? When you find that, you want to let your friends know about it. You want to say, hey, you should try this because it made me look terrific. It can make you look terrific. Same, you watch a TV show that you really love. You got to go out and talk to your friends about it. You're excited to share because you want other people to know about it as well. And so we are built to share referrals, to share things that we enjoy. And so we should also have people sharing about the migrant education program, sharing about the terrific services that they're receiving. So then why are we not getting referrals out there? Forbes magazine and their studies have found that one of the key reasons that businesses fail to regularly receive referrals is that many times marketers and salespeople do not properly know how to ask for referrals. So people that are working in the business industry don't know how to take advantage of their relationships and ask for referrals in such a way that people are going to want to share their information with you. And I think the same can be said for recruiters. Recruiters are terrific. They work so hard. Recruiters get out into the communities, are fantastic at meeting people. They're fantastic at trying new things. But I think, one of the things that the migrant education program as a whole across the nation struggles with is knowing exactly how to properly ask for referrals, how to get that information. Forbes magazine found that the two most common errors marketers and salespeople make in asking for referrals is number one, they ask for referrals too late. Marketers and salespeople will often wait until customer relationships have already been established before asking for referrals. By the time the customer relationship has established, customers are often no longer excited about the services product because it's no longer new. We're going to talk about it here in a minute, but the best time to ask for a referral is to ask when people are most excited about what it is that you're offering. And so many times that can be upon initial recruitment, when they find out that you are there to help them, to help their students, to help their children in school. They're going to be excited about that. And that's a terrific time to ask. I think oftentimes recruiters are scared of hurting those relationships they have with families, and they don't want to inconvenience them. So they wait and wait and wait until they know families well enough that they aren't scared anymore about hurting their relationship. And that's when they ask for referrals. But by that time, it's already too late because the family is already used to the program. They're not as excited about the program as when they first signed up. Forbes magazine also found that the other common mistake that marketers and salespeople make when it comes to referrals is that they too easily take no for an answer. Marketers and salespeople often take that initial response as a definitive answer. So when people say, when you ask for a referral, say, hey, do you know anybody else that might benefit? And they're told no, or let me think about it, marketers and salespeople will regularly fail to follow up on that question or pursue any other potential responses. And so we're going to look at strategies here in a bit for what we as recruiters can do to not take that initial no when asking for referrals as an answer, to see how we can continue to follow up to try to get a more positive response. So now, before we start getting into strategies on how we can better ask for referrals out there, let's talk a little bit about where we should be looking for referrals. The migrant education program already is receiving certain types of referrals. We get referrals through platforms like M6, where we get move notifications from other states, letting us know that students have arrived. And we often receive referrals from school surveys. Many states around the country have occupational surveys or home language surveys that they send out with students, that they get back to help identify students. However, referrals can and should come from anyone. We should expand our vision for where we can be getting referrals and try to reach out and find referrals all over the community. We can get referrals from migrant health clinics or rural health clinics that are also working with similar populations as the migrant education program. We can get referrals from the agriculture extension offices that exist in our counties, or the USDA farm service agencies that are actively working with farm owners and farm workers in our area. We can get referrals from the Farm to School program, which is a program that works all over the country trying to advocate for agricultural education, as well as advocating for getting fresh produce into schools so that kids can eat fruits and vegetables on a regular basis. We can also get referrals from Head Start programs, such as Migrant Head Start, that are working with our students, and from local food banks that are serving our students as well. We can get referrals from religious organizations in our communities, such as churches or mosques that might be working with families that could potentially qualify, refugee organizations, refugee settlement organizations. I recently found out about a new organization called the Refugee Agricultural Partnership Program. If you're unfamiliar with it, it is a federal grant given by the government that directly aims at providing money to organizations that are helping refugees coming into the United States to work in agriculture and to get them access to healthy food. And so these are organizations that, as people are newly arriving into the country, are working to try to help get them connected to agricultural jobs. And so it's a great opportunity to look up. They exist in, I think, in about 10 different states around the country. So you can look and see what organizations have received this Refugee Agricultural Partnership Grant to see if there's any organizations near you that you can collaborate with that might be helping people find those jobs in agriculture. You can also reach out to organizations that are nonprofits working on immigrant and refugee rights, and as well as other community organizations that might be working with similar populations. Oftentimes, like I mentioned, there are local agencies that are already active and working in local farms, agricultural businesses, or with similar populations. And so it's important that you all, as recruiters, as migrant education program staff, are doing your research, searching your areas, looking to see what exists, what is out there that you can find to try to identify, who you can be partnering with. Google is a terrific resource for getting on to research what is in your area to see if there's anything that you might not know about. So you can use Google to search for organizations in your area. Oftentimes when I'm recruiting in a new area or helping a new state, I will just Google phrases like organizations working with farm workers in, and then I'll write the city and state where I'm going to be, or churches working with farm workers in, and I'll write the city and state, or even farm worker resources. So for example, if I was going to go and I was going to work, let's say in Cleveland, Ohio, I could search for organizations working with farm workers in Cleveland, Ohio, or churches working with farm workers in Cleveland, Ohio, or even farm worker resources in Cleveland, Ohio, just to try to do some research and see what is out there. What can we potentially find that we can try to build those bridges with, make those partnerships with, so that we can mutually help each other as well as help the families that we're trying to reach. Partner agencies can oftentimes help connect you to local farms and families. They can open doors for you that might have previously been closed. And so one of the other helpful ways of finding these new organizations that you can partner with is by asking your contacts that you already know, people that you already have close relationships with, people that you already have been working with for a while. Ask them, hey, who else is working with you? Who else do you know out there? Or even just asking them, hey, do you know of anybody else that I should meet that would be helpful? Because many times, if we just simply ask, people can point us in the right direction. And so now I wanted to talk and share a little bit of information about some resources that I have found helpful in partnership organizations that I have found helpful. The first one is called the Rural Health Information Hub, and I'm posting it in the link in the Zoom chat. The presentation and slides will all be available for everybody. You can access the slides from this presentation right now from the Whova app on your phone or from the Whova desktop app. If you go to the document section of the app, that has the PDF versions of all the presentations from this week. And so if you are missing a link, you can easily access the slides from your phone or your computer to see the links that were shared. But the Rural Health Information Hub, if we open up the website, it'll provide you with you can choose your state from the list. If somebody would send me a state in the chat box, we'll look it up. The first person to respond will look up their state. Kentucky, okay. So you click on your state, and that'll take you to an overview of your state. And so you can see it has a brief information background of the state, some demographic information. But if you look on the left, you can see where it says resources, organizations. And so you can click on organizations, and that'll show you all the health organizations that are working in your state. And so, for example, here in Kentucky, we can see there's the Appalachian Regional Commission, which is an economic development agency that's working, in the Appalachian area with families. You have there's a lot of different organizations. You have Frontier Rural Innovations Network, focusing on improvements in the frontier rural healthcare delivery process, Kentucky Area Health Education Centers. And so it'll show you Kentucky Office of Rural Health. Oftentimes, if you find organizations that specifically mention rural health, they will be doing something with farm workers or in and related to farms. You have the Kentucky Rural Health Association. And so these are all different. Here you have the Rural and Underserved Health Research Center. That sounds like a great tool. And the Southern Rural Development Center. So these are all resources, partner organizations that are working in your area. Here's the USDA Rural Development Office. And so that's from the US Department of Agriculture. And so we've worked with them before. And so that's another organization that you can reach out. And so it gives you a great idea of what organizations are already out there and active in your state. You can often go to resources, and that'll show you other information. So for example, a lot of the states, the resource pages right now is all about COVID-19, and it has information related to COVID-19 and COVID-19 resources out there. You can sometimes find information specifically related for farm workers in the resource page. And so it's a great, great tool to go through. Again, you just choose your state, and then it'll show you exactly what is available out there. And so it's a website that I've used many times before to find new organizations. Even if you're not able to partner with them, the information is often great just to share with families, because many times migrant families, as they move around so much from place to place, they struggle with finding specifically health information. Getting access to information about health can be difficult. And so this is a great website to get those resources so that you can share with them. I mentioned the Farm to Schools project, and so I'm sharing the link in the chat as well. And so the Farm to Schools project, the U.S. Department of Agriculture works in all 50 states, and it's a program that aims to increase access to local food and nutrition education, and to improve children's health, and to strengthen farms in the area, and to help cultivate those agricultural communities. And so some states are a little bit more active than others, but you can go onto the website, you can explore, you can click where it says Our Network, and it'll show you all the states in the country. And so you can choose your state. So we can go to Kentucky and learn more about the Farm to School program in Kentucky. You can see what resources are available out there. You can go to the website. You can see, people that you can get connected with. And so here you can see this woman, she works for the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. You can reach out to her to say, hey, I work for the migrant education program. Maybe you can help, get me connected with farms in the area. And so it's a great, great tool to get out there to see, organizations that are already working with farms and care so much about children. And so there's a lot of overlap between the migrant education and the Farm to School network. And so we encourage you all to go. It's a newer resource that we're starting to explore, but we think it's a resource that can bear a lot of fruit in the future and really help lots of states build up those relationships with schools and with students and the farms. There's also the National Center for Farm Worker Health, for those that might not be familiar with it. The National Center for Farm Worker Health is an organization that's dedicated to providing farm working families and individuals with access to quality health care. And so oftentimes this includes resources for both mental and physical health. And so mental health is a really, really important subject for our migrant families. it can be really hard, as hard as it can be for families to get information related to physical health. It can be even harder for our families to get access to information to mental health. And many times families believe, mental health, they might not be able to afford it. But the reality is that there's a lot of organizations out there that have resources available to help them. And so we always want our families to be able to be healthy, both physically and mentally. And so we encourage you to check out, the National Center for Farm Worker Health. When you click on the link that I shared, it'll actually take you right to the Migrant Health Program. They have resources available in Spanish, as you can see here at the top. And if you scroll down, it'll actually have a map of all the migrant health clinics around the country. And so you can identify and locate the closest and nearest migrant health center to you. So if you do have a family that ever has any issues that needs both physical and mental health, you can refer them to the migrant health clinic that is closest to you. And so I encourage you all to go to check out the map. You can search for it by state or by zip code as well, but it's a terrific resource to help them be able to access critical health information. Okay, I got in chat that I think you're only sharing links to the panelists and not to the attendees. You are so correct, and I appreciate you for saying that, and I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and let me go ahead and share again. Here is the National Farm Worker Health, the website that I'm looking at just now. So that's being shared in chat for everybody. And then let me go back through. And then here's the link being sent to everybody in chat for the Rural Health Information Hub that we just saw, and the National Farms to School program. And again, all the links are on the slides, are available now on the Whova app, and they'll be available soon on the IDRC website. And so again, thank you for pointing that out. I was not aware of that. And you can, if you miss any link, you can always go back and look at the slides later to see what links you might have missed. Besides the National Farm Worker Health, there's also the Migrant Clinician Network. And so the Migrant Clinician Network is a organization, it's a network of healthcare clinics out there that provide physical locations for doctors dedicated providing health services to migrant individuals and families. And so the National Center for Farm Worker Health shows all the different areas, with clinics that are available, whereas the Migrant Clinician Network is dedicated solely to providing doctor spaces where they can work with migrant families. And so again, I shared the link in the chat for everybody, and you can go to their website. And from their website, you can explore to see, to find those areas close to you where people can access the doctors, access the clinics. You can see the different health networks down at the bottom. You have information about review for families that are coming in. And so for families that need, maybe checkups, you can reach that. There's a lot of great information available that they might not have access to as well. There's a section dedicated, to children's health. There's a ton of resources available about COVID-19 specifically, for farm workers and migrant families. And so it's a terrific website that has a lot of resources that you can share as well. And so we encourage everybody just to get on to explore the website. There's links on here as well about requesting doctors, I believe. And so even if families are in a remote area, they can send in, to have a remote visit as well. Another, we mentioned before that there's several religious organizations that you can reach out to. Religious organizations oftentimes work closely with, migrant families. And so there's the National Farm Worker Ministry, which is a Christian ministry that is was founded, I believe, in North Carolina, that works, or founded in California, based out of North Carolina now. They've been working with farm workers since 1920. And they have partner organizations and churches all across the country. As the migrant education program, I want to stress we're becoming much more diverse. We're seeing families come in from all over the country getting involved in agriculture. And so, whereas this one resource that I'm sharing with you is a Christian ministry, I encourage you all to look out. We've partnered with mosques before to work with families that are coming in that have Middle Eastern or Islamic backgrounds. There's a lot of other different kinds of religious organizations that you can search for that are working with similar populations. But so the National Farm Worker Ministry, if you go and you click on where it says faith-based partners on their website, you can actually scroll down and it'll have, a list of different organizations that are working all over the country. Many of them we can see here. You have the Sisters of Charity of Nazareth, located in Kentucky. That is, we were looking at Kentucky earlier. And so that's an organization that's working, partnering with Farm Worker Ministry, working with farm workers. And so you can go, you can search for your state, kind of see what other organizations are out there that might be able to help. And, if you for some reason can't find an organization on their website from your state, you can always contact them to ask them if they have any connections to your state that they might be able to help you build those bridges, reach out and connect with. And so National Farm Worker Ministry, I know I've heard people in North Carolina use it a lot to help reach families. And so it's a great opportunity and a chance for a new partnership. Then another website that I've recently found that I think is really helpful is called US Hello. And so it's an organization, it's a website dedicated specifically for helping asylum seekers, immigrants, and refugees that are new to the country to kind of help themselves get oriented and to get to know their area and what resources are available to them. We have a question. Will all this information going to be available on the website after Friday? Yes. And so all of this information is going to be available on, it should be available still for you to access from Whova, but it also will be available on the IDRC website. And so you'll be able to go back to review any slides that you might have missed, any information you might have missed after this week and indefinitely as well. And so the US Hello website, you can go to it and you can select your language and you'll search, and you can search, based on your area. And so I had previously looked up, for example, this is Portland, I believe. Portland, Oregon. Yeah. And so you can see here, these are all the resources that are available in Portland, Oregon that might be important to know for people that are new to the area. And so you can specifically look up, for example, resettlement services. So these are organizations that are working with immigration, working with refugees, asylum seekers in your area, as well as you can look up legal help. And so it'll show you all the organizations in your area that are working on providing legal help to those underserved populations. You can look up housing information. So you can see all the organizations that are working to provide housing information for families, as well as healthcare and counseling. So again, those mental health services are so crucial for our families, but it can often be hard to find. And so you can use this website, USA Hello, to find and locate those counseling services that are available for migrant and farm worker families, as well as English languages, jobs. And so any places that are helping people, find work, those are opportunities. You can go and look for those those staffing agencies that might be working with new arrivals in the country. And maybe they're, helping people get agricultural jobs. And so it's always a partnership that you can build, or maybe they've worked with some that have previously worked in agriculture. And so staffing agencies is a great partnership for recruiters and for the migrant education program. And so USA Hello, again, it's a newer website that I found, but I think it's a really terrific resource that we can use both to help find organizations that we can partner with, as well as to help get resources to our families. And so encourage everybody to go use the website to explore their own areas to see what exists out there. And then lastly, for those that are unfamiliar with it, I wanted to share about the Farm Worker Opportunities Program. And so the Farm Worker Opportunities Program, it's an association of programs that get federal grants. It's oftentimes nonprofits or public agencies that try to serve eligible migrant and seasonal farm workers under the National Farm Worker Jobs Program. And so most members that are part of the Farm Worker Opportunities Programs also serve farm workers in other ways through Head Start, health services, training courses about on-job training related to farm work, ESL classes, or even housing and economic development. And so several of the programs often run and operate emergency food and clothing banks to help low-income families in their area. And so it's, again, a great source of resources for your families. If you don't know about them, it exists in all 50 states around the country. And so I shared the link in the chat, but you can just search Farm Worker Opportunities Programs, and you can search for your state. And so when you click on your state, it'll show you exactly what organization has the Farm Worker Opportunity Programs grant, who's in charge of it, so you can reach out to them and see about partnering up. And so it's a terrific opportunity to really get out there. You can see here the Kentucky Farms programs, run over in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And so you can reach out to them to see what they're doing, to see how you can partnership, see how they're already helping farm workers in their area. So it's another just great resource to hopefully help you build those bridges, make those connections so you can get referrals in. So now that we've looked at a bunch of different resources about where we can partner and how we can build our recruitment network, I want to talk a little bit about some strategies that we can use to improve the likelihood of us actually getting referrals in the community. And so I did a bunch of research, read some books on getting referrals and marketing, and found 8 clear strategies that we can do now to improve our chances of getting more referrals. So the one strategy that was common throughout all the research I did, everything said that in order to get more referrals, you have to make sure that it's easy for families to provide referrals. You need to have a formal process for students, families, and partners to submit referrals that is clear, easy to access, and quick. So you want to make sure that families know if you meet somebody, here's how I need that could potentially qualify. Here's how they can get to you that information. You want to make sure that students, families, and partners always have access to submitting referrals. One of the reasons I think that the migrant education program struggles to get referrals is that many times families or the partners we have in the community don't know how to get us that information. And so we want to make sure they know that, hey, you meet somebody that could qualify, call this number, send this email, and that they have it right at the tips of their fingers so that they can do it instantly. And I think it's important to, as well, part of making it easy is providing materials to students, families, and partners on how and where they can provide referrals. And so once you set up that formal process, create flyers, create handouts, letting people know, hey, we're looking to meet more people that might qualify. We want to know the people that you know. Here's how you can here's how you can send us referrals. And so write out step-by-step instructions that they can take, print them on postcards that you can send out so that they know, hey, when you meet somebody, here's what you should do to let us know. Second strategy for receiving referrals is that we should all be training our families to provide referrals. Again, people it's in our brains, in our psyche. We want to share with others the things that have impacted ourselves positively. But many times, even though we want to do that, we have to train our families on how to provide those referrals. And so once you have that formal process, always show your families, your students, your community partners, go through that process step by step with them. guiding them through every step of the way how to complete and submit that referral. We also, when we're talking about referrals, we should always try to be very specific and be as specific as we can in exactly what we are asking of families, what they should be looking for. Many times when we ask families, hey, do you know anybody else that might qualify? Maybe they don't know what that means. Whereas, if we tell families, hey, let us know whenever you meet somebody that just moved into town, that's very specific. So now they know they're on the lookout for people that have just arrived, that have just gotten here, so that they can let you know about it. So be specific in what you are asking people, to submit to you, so that they know what they can look for, so there's no doubts or confusion. And then normalize the process of asking for referrals by regularly asking for them. I think a lot of times where from recruiters I've talked to, they mention how they're afraid to ask for referrals too frequently because they don't want to annoy families or they don't want to hurt their relationships. But we can't be afraid. We have to normalize it by regularly asking. Ask somebody, once every 2 weeks. Hey, do you know anybody new that, might have just arrived? Hey, have you seen anybody new at work that might also qualify? Let us know about it. Because the more you ask, the more you bring it up, the more normal it'll be, so that when they do meet somebody that they can refer to you, they'll immediately think of you and send the information your way. It's always good that when you're just starting out to get referrals, focus on your best clients. Focus on those involved in the program that know you the best. For us in the migrant education program specifically, we want to target those students, those families that the program has impacted the most. And so, for example, ask referrals from your students, families, and partners that you know best. One real quick way to start asking for referrals that I've found that works really well is by starting with your parental advisory councils, your PAC meetings, your parental engagement meetings. Those families that are involved in the PAC meetings, the parental engagement side of the migrant education program, are the ones that know the program the best because they're the ones that are most involved. And so since they know the program so well, start asking them for referrals. Show them and let them know, hey, I'm looking to get more people for the program. We want to help more people. Will you help us locate them by letting us know when you find people who might qualify? Likewise, target students or families who have been impacted most by the program. When you find students that have success stories, always focus on them to say, hey, the program has helped you this way. We'd love to help similar families in similar situations. Do you know anybody else that might qualify? And then target any key students, families, or partners that you already have a good relationship with. So there's some families that have been in the program for many years because they move frequently. Target those families, reach out to them to see if they know anybody because you already have that trust and rapport built up with them. The next strategy for getting referrals is make sure that we're including referrals in our initial discussions. We mentioned earlier that Forbes magazine found that one of the key reasons that people are not getting referrals is because they oftentimes wait too long to ask for them. And so we as recruiters, as identification and recruitment staff, should automatically begin asking for referrals the moment we sign up a family. And so as soon as you complete a COE, turn to the family and ask them, hey, we're so glad that you're participating. Do you know anybody else that might also be able to participate? People are much more likely to refer others to a product or service when they are first enrolled because they have already made that decision to participate. They've already made the decision, yes, this is something that I want. And so because it's something they want, they're much more likely, to refer it to others. And so don't wait too long. Start asking for referrals at the beginning of recruitment, once you've signed up that family, so that hopefully they'll let you know about others that they've met or might have come with them. Be direct in those initial discussions and don't be afraid. Many times, I think recruiters are often hesitant, especially when working with new families, because they're worried about hurting that relationship. But we just have to ask with confidence, and be passionate when we do. Families, they can hear how excited you are in your voice when you're talking about the program. And if you're excited, they're going to get excited and want to share it as well. So don't be afraid, talk with confidence, and be passionate about what you're doing. It's also really helpful to use positive language. And all the research I was doing, articles I was reading about referrals in the books, it specifically mentioned that making sure that you use language associated with positive emotions when asking for referrals. And so instead of just asking somebody, hey, do you know anybody else that might qualify? You could say, hey, are you excited to be a part of, this program? Are you excited, that your kids are going to be able to get this additional help? Do you know anybody else that could also, benefit from the program? And so use that positive language, to help encourage them to share more information with you. The next strategy is all about getting families involved in the process. You want to make your students, the families, and partners feel like they are part of the identification and recruitment process. And if they feel like they're a part of it, if they feel like they can take ownership in helping others get help, then they're much more likely to send you referrals. So when you're talking to families, asking for referrals, make sure you're letting them know how important they are. Let them know that, hey, you are our eyes and ears out in the community. You're the ones that can really help us have as big of an impact as possible. Let them know that they are the bridge to potentially changing their entire community, having that positive impact. And hopefully that'll get them to see that they really can play an important part in improving and getting help to others that they may know. You want to make it clear in any materials that you hand out how important referrals are to your work and for ensuring that students receive the services they need. And so I think a lot of times when we talk to families or ask for referrals, we don't let them know how important it is. We as recruiters can't be everywhere in our own communities. And so many times we have to rely on those that we meet to get information. And so it's important to let them know how important that is. And so when you send out flyers, make sure to mention in the flyer how important they are to helping you do your best work. And then also, it's always a great idea when you're going into community, although we know our communities well, oftentimes we are outsiders entering in the communities, and we have to be empathetic and understanding and try to understand those communities as best as possible. And so it's a good idea when we go to ask students, families, partners that we're working with for their advice on how we can get more referrals. Ask others, hey, how do you think I should go about signing up more students? Where should I look? What kind of things should I say? What do you think would encourage people, to let us know about more families in your area? It never hurts to ask more questions. It never hurts to understand others' perspectives. And they can give you really great advice that you might not be able to think of otherwise that can lead to helping you get more referrals. We mentioned earlier that the second mistake that Forbes found that marketers and salespeople often make is that they take that initial no as a definitive answer. But the reality is that oftentimes people say no or let me think about it more as a dismissive comment instead of sitting there thinking and as an actual answer. And so we have to understand that oftentimes when we are talking about asking for referrals, that no just might be a dismissal. And so you want to make sure that you follow up with it. You can follow up with it, by waiting a few moments, asking the question again. You can try asking the question different ways, changing the question up a little bit. We mentioned earlier about using that positive language. You want to make sure that you're always responding positively when talking about referrals, and you want to make sure that you're asking at least twice. One study by Forbes found that 40% of people who are asked twice for a referral, even if they said no on the first time, ended up saying yes on subsequent questions. And so you can see the chances of getting a referral increase greatly the more you ask. And so it's always good maybe to hold off a little bit and then respond and ask again. Some examples of ways that you can respond, if somebody says, let me think about it, you can respond back by saying, I appreciate you giving it some thought. I'm sure you'll have lots of recommendations for us in the future, but let's just take a moment to think of a friend that's in a similar situation and could benefit. I think I found it really helpful that if you say, give me just at least one person to talk to. A lot of times I think people, when you ask for referrals, will say no or say, let me think about it, or put off or dismiss the question because they want to be helpful. They want to provide you with information, but they think they need to provide lots of information. And so when you take that stress away by saying, maybe you could just give me one person, I found that really increases the chances of being able to get a referral. People are much more likely, to give you something if you're only asking for one person than if they think you're asking for them to tell you about 10 people. The next strategy that we want to make sure that we're doing is we want to make sure that we are delivering exceptional services. We want to make sure that students and families are receiving services that are impactful and that they know exactly what services they are receiving. They are much more likely to go out and spread the word about the migrant education program to others in their community if they can clearly identify how they are benefiting from the program. And so you want to make sure that, even though a lot of times the recruitment side of things might not, be able to influence that, you want to make sure that students and families are receiving services that are as impactful as possible and that they have a clear understanding of what they are getting. It's also crucial for recruiters to have that knowledge as well, that recruiters know exactly about what the services are in the area. It really hurts your chances of being able to sign up a family or get a referral if you show up, you talk to a family, and when the family says, how is this going to help me? The recruiter is not able to answer the question. And so have a clear information. If you don't know about the specific services that are offered in your area, reach out to your supervisor to ask. Reach out to service providers into your area, to others that work for the program. Reach out to other recruiters that you work with that say, hey, how do you describe the services that we're getting? So that you can understand, so you can give that picture to families so that they know exactly what they will be receiving. It's also a great idea. The migrant education program, every year we do re-interviews, but besides the re-interviews, it's a great idea, to regularly talk to enrolled families, interview enrolled families to see how they're doing, to check up on them, and to evaluate how the services are going and what the family's perception of the program is. Ask them, hey, what do you think about the services we're providing? Hey, what do you think about the migrant education program? Many times when you ask families about what they think or how they feel, you'll be really surprised by their answer. Sometimes you'll ask them and even though they signed up, they still might not understand what the program is. And so it's a great opportunity for you to explain it a little more. Maybe when you ask them, you'll find out that there's a need that they have that the program hasn't been able to meet yet. So you can work to get them those services. It's always a great idea to follow up with those families, check back, see how they're doing, to see what they're thinking and feeling so that you can make sure those services are impactful. And likewise, you want to keep a record of any and all success stories that you have so that you can share with others when asking for referrals. You're much more likely to get a referral or to get somebody to sign up for the program when you're able to go and say, yeah, well, we had the program and we had one student, for example, who was struggling in the classes, but we were able to get them the help that they need to get into college. We helped them write their college entrance essays. And so it's a terrific way of making sure, having those success stories. People are going to provide more referrals, want to sign up when they can envision themselves in as part of that story. And so hearing how others have been impacted helps them to place themselves in their shoes to see how the program can help them. And so you want to make sure when you're keeping track of those success stories, however, make sure that you have permission to share those stories. So when you hear those success stories, make sure you're checking with families, that you have a consent form filled out so that you can share with others. And that's always a good idea as well. You know, if you're talking about names, not to directly identify students, you can always change names up, um, just again to protect the data and security of our families. Then the last strategy for following up with referrals is you want to make sure that you always thank the person that is providing the referral and you follow up with them. And so what I mean by that is you want to make sure that if somebody sends in a referral, that they know how appreciative you are that they've shared that information and that the referral is being checked up on promptly. Many times people that share referrals are much more likely to share subsequent referrals if they know you are actually checking up on that information. And so let them know, thank them for doing it, and let them know that you have spoken to that family. Let them know that you have checked up on the referral, but also make sure that you're following FERPA laws and any state regulations you may have, to make sure you're not breaking any privacy laws by sharing too much. For families that are already enrolled in the program or community partners, it's always a good idea to send maybe a little thank you note or a signed letter, thanking them for the referral after they've sent it in. That way, they know that it is important, that you do care. And as well, if one of the referrals ends up leading to a success story, always share those victories with other students, families, and partners so that they feel a part of it, so that they feel like they are part of the success story of others. And so we've talked about different strategies, ways we can get referrals. We've talked about why referrals are important. And now I want to share a little bit just about how we can have that formal system of referrals. So earlier today, we had a presentation that was all about the IDRC electronic survey tool. But for those that might not be aware of it, the IDRC electronic survey tool is a free tool that's available for all states around the country, offered by the IDRC consortium. It's an electronic platform where anybody can submit a referral in. And so anybody with a link to the platform, I've shared the link in the chat box, can easily get in there and submit a referral in only 1 to 2 minutes. And so it makes submitting a referral an easy and quick process. The electronic survey tool is, like I said, is accessible to anybody that has the link or that has access to the QR code. And so for those that don't know what a QR code is, it's a digital code that you can scan using your phone that'll open up a link on your phone. And so we've created a QR code that takes you directly to the IDRC electronic survey tool. It can be printed on printed materials, handed out in flyers, printed on welcome bags. We have states that are printing it on business cards, as well as states that are sharing it with businesses for employees to fill out during orientation. And so it can be designed to be as flexible and easy to share as possible so that states can adapt it and use it with their own current identification and recruitment efforts. And like I said, when we were piloting the electronic survey tool, we had recruiters and community members test it out and found that a new referral can be submitted in only 1 to 2 minutes. The electronic survey tool is great because recruiters are emailed and notified automatically when a referral in their area is submitted. And so recruiters that have accounts on the electronic survey tool platform, as soon as a new referral is sent into their area, they are notified by email instantaneously that they have a new referral in the system that they can check up on and follow up with. As I mentioned, anybody can submit a referral through the IDRC electronic survey tool platform. It works great in conjunction with M6. States should always use M6 to send those notifications when they have students moving to another state. And the electronic survey tool works great alongside M6 because with the electronic survey tool, anybody in the community, you don't have to be part of the migrant education program for a teacher to submit a referral as you do through M6. And so you can, share the electronic survey tool with those community partners, with those community organizations, or even currently enrolled families, so that when they meet people, they can submit a referral through the system. And like I mentioned, the electronic survey tool platform was designed to supplement and not replace current IDNR efforts. We wanted to make sure that the electronic survey tool was able to be used in whatever you all are already doing, instead of having to replace what you're currently doing. One of the other benefits to the electronic survey tool is entirely self-contained and is designed for states to be able to use the platform autonomously. And so once states do have access to the electronic survey tool, they can control the tool themselves by having, creating the accounts for their users, assigning referrals to recruiters in their areas, and they don't need to reach out for outside help. And then all data on the electronic survey tool platform is password protected and controlled. And so using the electronic survey tool to get referrals is quick and easy. Like I mentioned, you can share it with employers, you can share it with employees during their orientation. You can share it with organizations that you're partnering with, like those health services that we saw, the Migrant Head Start program as well, so that they can submit a referral anytime they find a new family. Or you can even share it with families so that they can submit referrals about themselves whenever they move. We have several states that hand out postcards to families asking them, hey, when you move, submit a referral and let us know. And so it's a great tool to be able to share with families as well. An OSY can submit a referral for a friend that they meet that might be able to qualify. And even a state data specialist can use the platform as a means of letting recruiters know about interstate moves that might be happening. Or you can share the tool with local food banks so that they can submit referrals whenever new families come in. And so as we mentioned, we created a QR code. And so this is the QR code. It's currently available on the IDRC website. And so anybody that wants to can download the QR code and print it or share in their own materials. If you are interested in getting access to the electronic survey tool, feel free to reach out to us. We do require for states to get permission from their state director to use the electronic survey tool. So you can reach out to your supervisors, or you can reach out to me and we can try to get in contact to get approval from your state director so that the tool can be used. But we just wanted to create another tool that helps states get referrals and hopefully allows states to cast a wider net out into their own communities. I know we've gone a lot of information today, but we really appreciate everybody joining us this week for the conference, joining all the different presentations. We really hope to see everybody again tomorrow for the last day of the conference. As I mentioned earlier, if there's anything that you missed, the presentation slides as well as the recording will be available on the Whova app and shortly on the IDRC website. So you can easily go back to see all the different links, all the different websites that we visited and seen, so that you can look them up, explore them at your own pace, and hopefully find some more organizations to partner with. But again, we really appreciate everybody being here today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Thank you so much.